Oh my god.
I want to throw up.
Like, seriously. What is this? Alright. Butcher Card Buddyfight, episode 20. Like, this is the worst episode, not because of its story structure. It actually had a place it wanted to go, and it finally made Drum not an unlikable brat. But unlike the other bad episodes of this season, this one actually had a negative lesson to give to kids.
This was the most offensive episode ever.
Spoilers, the lesson is, if you're strong, don't protect people, only look out for yourself. They literally say it too.
Have any of you ever read Kenshin? If you have, you know that the first villain, the big one, Shishiro, his entire mantra was that.
Shishio,
thank you.
Yes.
That was the entire thing, was trying to prove that that's not the way. Because we don't want to follow some creepy mummy guy who bites the shoulders of men.
But yeah, that's what it said at the end of the day. And not even at the end of the day, he came out and said it. Word for word, the Sun Fighter does not protect the weak.
Yeah, does not protect people.
Whatever. Like, he's supposed to be a hero. He's supposed to... okay. Well, let's just start with the episode, and we'll get into it when we
get there.
Go. But seriously, if any of you guys actually did not see this, even though they came right out and said it, I don't even know what to tell you. Like, they literally came right out and said it, like, several times.
Anyway, so the episode starts, Sparta gets destroyed, and there's another form of Dual Seeker. Dual Seeker Tempest something or other. Either way, he's a 12-3-12. You have to pay 3 gauge in order to bring him out. His lifelink is instant death. And he can attack 3 times. You might already start seeing a problem about this. It's like you have to have this card in hand in order to use it. And also, he doesn't work off of regular Dual Seeker. You have to do it off of Sparta. Spartan.
In other words, it's like Jackknife, except for you can't play the not Jackknife Dragon cards, not the base form ones by themselves. And you don't have, as far as we can tell, a Braveheart to search him out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's changed, but as far as I can tell, there's not a way to search out the specific Seegers.
It's not like a Jackknife where it's like, oh, if it does have to be on top of Jackknife, you just call it from deck. No, it has to be in your hand.
Yeah, he calls it from deck. Seegers have the call cost to come out when the previous Seeger is destroyed. I.e., you have to call them when it happens. And it's not just Spartan. I didn't even read the other one. Yeah, it's him too. So it's probably old news now, but news to me because I gave up on Ancient World. But then they decided to bring it back to my attention, and I'm like, well, at least their other monsters are pretty neat. Discarding cards to do things is always cool. In fact, they showed another one that was pretty interesting to me in this episode. What was his name again?
Let me see. I wrote it down. Storm Dragon Emperor. Something subtitle. His name was like 6 words.
Thunderbolt or Thunderstorm. Man.
Yeah, Thunderstorm.
It was not like a very hard to remember word.
I had so much to write. I'm sorry.
But anyway, he's like, discard him from your hand to blow up your opponent's item. I'm like, Jesus, that's so not bad.
It's almost as if Ancient World's doing what Danger World should have been doing.
Danger World doesn't even have a place ever now, officially. Like...
They both suck.
But we knew about the discarding things for effects from the last episodes, but they're just getting better, the discarding effects. We're still waiting for some decent monsters that you can actually play to fight, so you don't have to rely on riding up this chain that basically digs it. I know what it is. It's digging. As you realize, you're digging your grave with that card. If you have it in your hand, you can actually have the gauge to play it. Because remember, each one pays 3 gauge to play, so you're gonna need 9 gauge over the course of the game to do it. And that's if they actually take if they take a couple turns to actually beat one of them. Which, if it's Dragon World, it probably won't. But it's like, yeah, he's basically like, I'm not gonna die yet. I'm gonna put this card over. Well, that's one more cloud of dirt out of the hole.
And it's like, what if you open with just
You open with not dual Seeker and you don't have a way to find Seeker. Well, good luck.
Yeah, you open with these two faggots in your hand, and like, I can't believe I just said that. I'm sorry. Anyway, like you open with those two in your hand, and it's like, oh, I don't have the dual Seeker to use them. Well, now I just have to gauge these two.
Well, let's move on because we've talked about Ancient World to death, and I don't it's like they're suffering from the reverse problem of Danger World. Their monsters have good skills that work like spells, but none of their monsters are really things I'd just play on the field.
There's also a lot of plot problems with this episode, and everyone has the memory of a goldfish.
Yeah, freaking Gal's mom. Like, oh yeah, I think he's that boy from the hospital from all those years back. Even though, like, 3 episodes ago, when you broke him out of a dungeon, you guys seemed to know who he was pretty well, and vice versa.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this
must be Yoda's brother. And it's like, how many people do you know with explosion black hair and red things in front of it who talks about the mighty Sun Fighter?
And who has the last name of the dude you were friends with?
And Gal has said something too that made me like, how do you... Oh yeah, something, how do you know that? And or something. No, it was...
How do you know about the mighty Sun Fighter? I wrote it down.
It was not... Oh, I remember. It was like, how, you knew my brother?
Yeah, you knew my brother.
Yeah, that's what it was. You knew my brother, even though you and the Seifukai are the only people who know about the Sun Fighter, because clearly this book was never published. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was that he just realized that that maybe the Seifukai knows his brother. Even though how else would they know what the Mighty Sun Fighter is? Did he not realize every time he brought up the Sun Fighter, they all freaked out?
This is a show we're forced to watch, people.
This is the show that people don't even realize these gaping holes. And it's not even like they're small holes anyone can miss either. Like, it's like, it shouldn't be one of those things where you have to be asked to forget about the last episode or the last couple episodes.
These holes.
These are one of these things where they should credit you to think that you remembered what happened previously. But they're acting like no one has the attention span to do that. Next scene.
So then Genma shows up in the hospital. He flashes back, and he's a chain-smoking 4th grader.
Apparently, his voice is very gravelly for a kid.
It sounds like he ate a pack of cigarettes. Not even smoked them, just took the box and shoved it in his mouth.
Sometimes, anyway. No more descriptions from you. You take a while with those.
Yeah, anyway, so yeah. So Yoda introduces... He's at the hospital because he broke his leg, and Yoda's like...
Talking about the starts talking about the Sun Fighter with Gao, and he overhears it, and then he comes in, and then, oh my god, Sun Fighter, isn't he so awesome with Gao? And then Gao turns into young Link as he goes, yeah? Like, I don't know what the hell is going on with the voice acting in this episode. He literally sounded like Link attacking something. Yeah? Except for he sounded like he was saying yeah with a question mark. Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what he sounded like. It was so weird. Why would you ever say it like that?
How many takes did you guys use?
1 take. That's all the time they have to do it.
Just like how they pulled Genma's 4th grade voice actor off the street.
Apparently, he was the worst actor ever. Whoever voiced him was the worst actor for the young one anyway. Because I don't know what the young one was trying to do half the time.
That wasn't a good use of that voice. Anyway, so then Genma he flashes forward again, and he's using Dragon Emperor to make Gao get rid of his gargantuan... It's not a gargantuan... The gauntlet thing.
It is, steel gauntlet.
Yes. So then, Genma's like, hey, give up already! And Gao's like, no! So then Genma rips off his shirt and does the most impossible pose.
It's so impossible. Emma's gonna try to impersonate it while I set it up.
He goes like this, but his arms are much higher. They literally go like this. If you have to see, I have to hold my arm up like this. I'm a woman. I am more flexible than a man, and also it's because my muscle right here is getting in the way.
Now, imagine that, but you have muscles the size of full-grown pigs. And try to do this pose. Like, your arms all the way up, with your forearms going all the way down, so that they're, like, parallel to your arms.
Your hands are parallel to your nipples.
Yeah, parallel towards your nipples, but, like, higher up than that. She's straining to do that. And she can't even get it up all the way on both sides without falling over. It's like... And he just does it like nothing. His muscles must not exist, and they must be, like, air or something. Although I don't know how he can do that. But that's just a weird thing that we saw. That they held on for, like, 4 seconds.
Yeah, so then, Tempest attacks. Gao blocks the first one with the green dragon shield. Next one he uses white dragon shield, and then he can't block the next one, so he's down to 1 life.
But it's like friendship and power and stuff, and that's how we are able to do it. And this is where we finally get something decent for once. Someone actually questioning their skills and capabilities. Drum is sitting there realizing that it was all of them, you know, Gao and his friends, who actually made this deck that actually is sticking into this fight this long, where Lasagna died like forever ago. And it's like, I haven't done anything. He hasn't done anything in this fight, he says. And he starts just questioning what he's even doing here, which is probably a good setup for the next story arc.
Yeah, and also, Gao states that, oh, my deck is good because my friends put together with me. They styled it around me having an open center, so they put a lot of shields in. I.e.,
the thing that they should have been doing in the first place, because you're Dragon World. And I would normally not have a big problem with this, if more for the fact that they established several times, in fact, that Baku's supposed to be this master deck builder. Yet he does this crap all the time. Didn't put in his 8 to 12 shields. Didn't put in a set of 4 of his buddy the first time he put the deck together. Why would you ever do that? I don't even think he had like a complete set of either weapon initially. I think he was like running 2 of the fist and then 2 of the fearless, because he got rid of his brave. Mm-hmm. It's a weird weapon setup. Like, I understand using few weapons, but why not max out on the fist?
And then Genma demands that he stop again.
Stop saying you're the Sun Fighter.
And he's like, no. And then his mom's like, is that the boy from the hospital?
That's where that thing came in from before. We cut back again.
Yeah, so
to the past.
So Yoda's so then Genma's like, oh, I get it. You're making this comic book for Gao to make him have someone to look up to. And Yoda, at this point, yeah. I realize, is an asshole.
He's like, oh yeah, him.
Oh yeah, I have a brother, and like he is the most wishy-washy little.
He is, not for this line though. This line could easily be argued that the voice actor sucks.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's Naoki. I'm pretty sure it's Naoki's voice actor, and as we've seen from Link Joker, he actually knows how to inflect pretty well. So I don't know what he's doing here. He probably just got phoned in at the last second. But later on, is where you realize, wow, he's a jerk.
So then Genma says, I'll become the mighty Sun Fighter, and I'll watch over Gao. Fails that job.
That job doesn't see him for the next 5 years. Or 5 years, I think.
He gives the reason that, the hospital won't give his address, but I think you'd be able to track him down pretty easily since they go to the same school.
He's going to the same academy. He's part of the junior high branch, and Gao's part of the elementary branch. But there was probably a time where they were both in the elementary school.
Yeah.
He could have done some digging, is what I'm saying.
So one of the actually only enjoyable parts of this episode was Gao's mom shows up to see them, and Genma goes, "I have the power of the sun now," and she goes, "That sounds fun."
Oh, that sounds fun.
Just completely disregards
Like, I
him.
understand it's just a kid saying things, but it's like she didn't even... It sounds like she didn't even listen. It sounds... She's like, yeah, that's great.
This kid with the
Anyway.
massive sideburns is in our room again.
Yeah, oh yeah. Even in the 4th grade, he had huge mutton chops, which I'm all for.
So then it flashes forward again, and Gao finally realizes, "Wait, you knew my brother?" As
Yep.
Gen was explaining this, and it's like,
It's like, yes, Gal, that's what he's been saying.
so then also Genma says stupid things too. He says like, "Gao, you're just a flicker. You're nothing compared to me."
Yeah, even though you're the guy who beat the best player in the world,
And the best players at the school.
best players in your school, some of the best players in my school,
And criminals!
and various criminals.
So then they quote the Sun Fighter together and have this little joy moment. And Gao even realizes more that for some reason Genma knows this shit, and it's like goldfish people.
Yeah, like, seriously, we're only asking for a few things. With that thing being called consistency.
Yeah. So then this is where the episode really reaches.
Oh, yeah.
Like before, it's just the average buddy fight stupid.
Yeah, before it was just stupid, but whatever, just nitpicks here, fine. Here's where it becomes wretched. Because this is the lesson that they're trying to tell kids to take home at the end of the day.
Yeah. Gao says, "Genma, you're getting the code of the Sun Fighter wrong."
After Genma is talking about how he has devoted his life to becoming strong to protect people. He even became the leader of Seifukai so they could go around helping people who are weak or in need. And Gao says...
That's not the code of the Sun Fighter.
That's not the code of the Sun Fighter.
That's wrong.
That's wrong. He's saying that the code of this super powerful superhero, is not to save people.
I love this part too. I wrote this down as a quote. "You based your life on something that does not exist."
Yes. Yeah, those police officers, they base their life on something that they can't do. They can't help people.
Yeah, no wonder no one took Gao seriously. The guy he fought didn't exist.
Freaking charities, helping those homeless people. Who are we to do that?
Spider-Man, Superman.
So superhero comics that we read, seeing these people do all these good things for people with these superpowers that they could use to do other things.
Anything that has a superhero in it.
That's good. Helping people's for noobs. And spoilers, the code is not to help people, but to be him. That's what he is. You're just supposed to be him.
Yeah. You're just supposed to better yourself so that you can be him. Because anyone can be the Sun Fighter. You know what really helps people to realize that they can achieve themselves? Maybe having a mentor, someone they can look up to.
Having someone who can be an inspiration. Someone you look up to. Like the sun. Actually, in the show they do it. Jin. When he's considering throwing his match, he has this bright glare in here and he looks up and sees Gao and he's like, oh my god, I have to win. He's looking up to Gao.
Also,
he's getting the strength to win because he's looking up to Gao. In your own show, you're saying this.
Everyone also looks up at Gao. Noboru also was like, I want to win because I want to reach the level as Gao at. There's also Kiri. He literally, in the first episode, fights and protects Kiri. The thing he says is wrong. He does it in the first flippin' episode.
And don't even say that he doesn't, because we go back to a flashback, and while he's talking with Genma about this, he flat out says, after Genma says that he wants to devote his life to protecting people, go M.
I'm sorry.
Of course you do.
So mad. Let me find it in the notes.
Being a Sun Fighter isn't. You're not supposed. There's something about like yeah. Now you made me get messed
Mighty
up.
Sun Fighter doesn't protect people.
Yes, the Mighty Sun Fighter doesn't protect people. He just becomes strong, or something like that. This is why you gotta write those quotes down, Em.
Sorry,
That's why you're fired again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just so mad that like I am.
But yeah, but Gao says it again later that you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to look up to the Sun Fighter. You're supposed to just become the Sun Fighter.
Anyone can become the Sun Fighter.
But they say like 3 times in the episode not to help people. And I don't know what to say about that. It's like you right up told him to his face that his life ambition to protect the weak, to help people in need, is just wrong, and he's an idiot for doing it.
I wrote down. I remember you were
I was going off about this because that's the complete opposite thing that Superman stands for.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with Superman, you may as well just leave this place right now. You don't even deserve to exist. Because even if you don't like Superman himself, you got to like his lessons.
Yeah.
He is effectively a god among men. He's not a god because even though he, like actually the reviewers mentioned this before, not because he has the power to stop wildfires and stuff, but he doesn't have the power to fix social structural problems. He can't literally end world hunger.
Yeah.
He's not an actual god.
He can't bring back the dead.
Except for in that one movie, but that's a different story. But my point is that he has all the powers in the world. He has the power to go faster than the speeding bullet. He can take an atomic bomb to the face and just keep going. And he has the power to take over the world if he chose to. But what does he do with all that power? He puts out fires in buildings. He saves cats and trees. He helps people across the street if they can't do it themselves.
He'll help you fix your car.
He has helped someone fix their car. He has all the powers in the world, and he uses it to help people with whatever they need. He doesn't look to be just awesome for the sake of being awesome. He doesn't look like for being strong just so he can say he's strong, which is another thing that Buddyfight said not to do, but now they're saying do it. Episode 6, in case you're wondering. But no, he does it because he wants to help people who can't help themselves. And you know what? There are several stories out there written about people in that universe, and even actual people, who have changed their lives, turned their lives around, because they thought, if someone who has all this power can even take himself down to a level of just helping people with their everyday problems, why can't I?
Nothing is beneath Superman, and thus...
Nothing is beneath you.
Yeah.
And this show takes that philosophy, this philosophy of helping people in need, and saying, don't help them. And I'm only mad about this because they said it like 3 times. They made sure that to put it into everyone who's watching's head that you should not help people to be a Sun Fighter. If you want to be a Sun Fighter, you just gotta be strong, and that's it.
Yeah, don't protect people.
Yep, you just gotta be powerful yourself. Be strong by yourself. Even though they said don't do that in episode 6. They said don't be strong for the sake of being strong. They said be strong to help people. And now they're saying don't do that.
I almost want to do a side-by-side of these 2 episodes.
Like, that's what makes this episode like the worst episode to me. Because it's unlike the other ones, which were just filled with stupid. This one almost had something. And then they had this happen. They took something that was almost good. It was so close. And then they spent the last 10 minutes, half the episode, going on about the Mighty Sun Fighter doesn't help people. The whole philosophy of this guy's life and Gao's life just thrown away for new rules because they felt like it.
And you know, the worst part is like I know people always are like, "Oh, you guys are getting so mad at a children's show. It's just a children's
like,
show. You don't have to take it seriously."
No, this is something you got to take seriously. If we don't say this stuff is unacceptable, kids will see this crap and think that is how they are supposed to act. They're going to think, you know what, that's a good idea. I'm not going to think to myself I should help people. I'm going to think I'm just going to be strong for my own sake. I'm not going to get strong so I can help people who are in need. I'm not going to go out of my way to help people when they are in trouble. I'm just going to get strong so I can say I'm strong, and that's it.
I recently watched an art film called Fuck You, Buddy, which was about the idea that the most logical thing to do is to screw everyone over and only think about yourself. And they did a social experiment to see if people would actually do this, and you know what? They rarely, if ever, did. And you know why? Because people can be decent. People are meant to help each other. It might be the most reasonable robotic reason to, only look out for yourself. But you know what? That's not the right thing to do. That is not the socially acceptable thing to do.
It's what the show itself used to say about 10 episodes ago, and I guess they changed their minds. I guess they decided, screw that. And I'm sure they're going to change their minds again. They'll probably even pretend that they never even said that, knowing them. Because it wouldn't be the first time they did that. Yeah, but that's why I'm mad at this. I'm mad at this because it's not like before, where you could argue, well, it's just dumb, whatever. It might make their IQ go down a bit, but at least they isn't telling them to do bad things. This is telling them not to help people. This is telling them to just look out for themselves.
This is telling you, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah, and it's like... It's not even like it's hidden either. They flat out say it in the episode like 3 times. You can't even miss it unless you are just pretending they didn't say it.
Unless you weren't paying attention.
Or unless you weren't paying attention. It's clearly there. He literally comes out and says it flat out that that you're not supposed to protect people.
This could not be any clearer.
Yeah, they flat out say it. If you're missing it, then I'm sorry, but you are just not paying attention or something. He flat out says that the Sun Fighter is not supposed to protect people.
There's going to be a test on this.
Even though they clearly say several times that he's supposed to be a superhero. He's supposed to be a superhero that doesn't protect people. Superhero that doesn't protect people.
Do you know why they're called heroes?
Because they protect people. And he's not protecting people, is what they said. That's what freaking Yoda says.
That's not a superhero. That is just a jacked up idiot.
It's a mercenary, at best. It means that he's probably only beating bad guys so he can get paid.
That's not a hero.
It's not a hero. At best, it's an anti-hero, but it's not a superhero. It's not someone you looked up to. It's not someone you're supposed to aim to be. And that's why this pisses me off. Because this...
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yes. And to say that otherwise about this episode says you're trying to say that line, that every other hero, that every police officer out there putting their lives on the line is doing something for a cause that does not exist. Because that's what they said in the show.
And please don't say we're overreacting.
Because we're not overreacting. This is what they're saying, and that's what they're telling kids, and that's what kids are going to take from this.
Yeah.
If you want to use the kid argument, that's the kid argument. That's what the kid's going to see. So we play that game too. And that's not right. You don't have. They didn't even need to put that in there either.
They didn't need to. You know what this could have just been? This could have just been Drum contemplating his uselessness.
Even then, it could have just been that Gao shows that he can overcome this thing. Because he says because Gamma says only he can be the Sun Fighter. Because if you can't even get over this, then there's no hope for you to be a Sun Fighter. And he just says, well, I can. I believe I can. And I will prove it. But no, they decided to go, you got your whole life matters all mixed up. Helping people is not what you're supposed to be doing. So
Yoda dies.
Yeah, then he dies, and no one missed him, except for his mom, apparently. Because I'm not even kidding about that either. Because think about it, when's the last time you heard Gao bring up his brother?
Just to be like Takiri.
No, he didn't even bring it up in that episode when the thing fell over. I think he just briefly said, "Oh yeah, that's my brother," and then his mom said the rest. He literally hasn't said crap about his brother in all this time. Literally, only his mom and Genma seem to miss him.
Do you notice that he only talks about the mighty Sun Fighter and not about his brother?
Yeah, he loves the comic. He doesn't say anything about his brother who made it. Like, even when he got the card, he's like, "Oh, cool, I got the red card, thanks. Hey guys, look what I got." It's like, no. What happens at the end?
Turns out that card is from Genma.
Yeah, it turns out the card's from Genma, because Genma gave it to him to Yoda before he died. And then Gao uses it, beats Spartan, Genma loses. More talk about how you still don't get it. The Sun Fighter is not about protecting people. It's about being him. And I'm like, wow, this is what you're trying to tell kids. And then we go to an after party, I guess.
There is one line from Parko that made me want to punch people.
What?
She says, like, we have to change Gao's nickname because luck had nothing to do with winning this fight. And usually we're like, Gao didn't win because of luck. Stop saying that. He actually used skill. This time, he won because of fucking luck.
He won because he drew the one copy of the card in his deck that he needed to win.
He top decked to win.
He top decked it.
And
that's luck.
Are the words confused in this universe?
I guess so.
Do they have opposite meaning?
Because every other time he actually had the cards available and he used them to make a win condition exist. This time he literally top decked the card and won because of it.
I need alcohol. I'm gonna drink this maple syrup.
Okay. Well, so yeah, parties going on, nothing really actually happening in it except for Genma shows up.
Yeah. And then Genma shows up, he gives back the copy of the comic that Yoda gave him to Gao. And Gao's like, "Oh, I was wondering where this went." And he's like, "Yeah, I couldn't find you because the hospital won't give you your address, blah, 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 we went over this." And then Drum's off by himself contemplating his being.
Yeah, because again, Drum is ironically the only good thing now about this episode.
It is bad when Drum is the most likable character in an episode.
Because, yeah, he's usually not. He's usually either not there or he's doing nothing important. I guess there's nothing really. I don't think you need us to say what we feel about this. It's pretty bad. I can see where people could like parts of it, but that lesson is terrible. And they drive it home so much that you can't even miss it. Like they're making sure that kids take this lesson to heart. It wasn't like if it were just briefly mentioned once, I wouldn't have probably have just said, "Wow, that's a stupid lesson," and then been done with it. But then they kept going into it for 10 minutes. They did.
You know, we've been reviewing this show since the beginning, and there's a lot of problems with it. We have talked about how the animation is bad. We have talked about how the characters are bad. We have talked about how the story is bad. And now, we've talked about how the morals are detrimental to children. This show is unlikable in every sense of the word. There is, like, literally nothing redeemable about this show. I think, like, the only thing you could possibly say is, well, at least the art looks nice, and you know what? Half the time it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't even do that.
So yeah, no. There is nothing here. This is the largest pile of nothing I've ever seen. Because you know what? I've watched a lot of bad films. I am a film student. I am an animation student. I have watched a lot of animation. He's watched a lot of animation. We've been doing this for a long time. This is one of the worst things I have ever seen. And you know, a lot of people say that, like, "Oh, this anime was the worst I've ever seen. It was so terrible." But you know what? Usually when they show those, I at least find something I like in that. Something that they've done correct. Something that, like, even in, like, the worst shit, it's like, well, at least it was so bad it was funny.
Yep.
This show can't even say that anymore.
Not like when you know, as far as I could probably tell, people probably won't even see it anyway. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people don't even realize that that's what it's saying. Because all they cared about was Dual Seeger splitting into 3 different forms and punching Gao, which, while entertaining, is like one small part of this episode when half of it was devoted to other stuff.
I know a guy who could animate Seeger better than this guy, than this studio.
But he already has. I'm saying his stuff. I'm pretty sure he already has done that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's about it. Feel free to say whatever in the comments, but at the end of the day, the quote's there. They said it themselves, and I'm not going to ever agree with that.
What's the name of that documentary on comic books that we like?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
We've seen, like, if you want, go watch a documentary on, like, the history of Marvel or DC or on comic books.
Yep, or even the, I know a good one, Comic Book Heroes Unmasked.
Yeah, that one. Go watch one of those. It explains why we are upset.
It explains what heroes are, what heroes mean to the world, and more to the point, it shows what truth and justice mean. And what this is not getting.
Instead of watching this episode, go watch that. That is a really good documentary.
Alright, I guess we'll be heading out now. Vanguard is next, and that one will probably be a lot more interesting because, well, Vanguard's only been interesting so far.
Next episode, plot happens.
Oh yeah, that's right, Buddyfight actually has plot finally happening. We're going back to that stuff that is supposed to matter, so hopefully with this horrible cup behind us, we can see something good happen for once. Because if you guys note, the best episodes, the episodes we actually liked, happened whenever, the actual plot was around. So.
Good night, everybody.
Yep, so till next time, everybody. Buddyfight, really stop that. Just stop that.